Searching for a romantic summer getaway? Escape with Rich Girl Summer, the new Audible original from Lily Chu. The exquisitely talented Philippa Soo, returning to narrate her fifth Lily Chu title. This time, Philippa is joined by her real-life husband, Stephen Pasquale. Set in Toronto's wealthy cottage country, aka the Hamptons of Canada, Rich Girl Summer follows the story of Valerie, a down-on-her-luck event planner posing as a socialite's long-lost daughter, while piecing together the secrets surrounding a mysterious family and falling deeper and deeper in love with the impossibly hard-to-read and infuriatingly handsome family assistant, Nico. Caught between pretending to belong and unexpectedly finding where she truly fits in, Valerie learns her summer is about to get far more complicated than she ever planned. She's in over her head and head over heels. Listen to Rich Girl Summer now on Audible. Go to audible.com/richgirlsummer.
Wherever you go, whatever they get into, from chill time to everyday adventures, protect your dog from parasites with Credelio Quattro. For full safety information, side effects, and warnings, visit CredeliaQuattroLabel.com. Consult your vet or call 1-888-545-5973. Ask your vet for Credelio Quattro and visit QuattroDog.com.
It's the Eastern Michigan Eagles football season preview. 5-7 in 2024. The Eagles look to bounce back and get back to a bowl win under Chris Creighton, the second winningest coach in EMU history, trailing only the legendary Elton Reinierson. Can they do it? Find out next here on the Max Sports Connection podcast.
What's up, guys? It's three-time NFL Pro Bowler, all-decade return specialist, Josh Cribbs. I want to welcome you to the Max Sports Connection podcast, where Alex hosts all things Mac, all things football, all things sports, right here, Match Sports Connection, baby. The Mid-American Conference best, bringing only the great Mac to everyone.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Max Sports Connection. I am your host, Alex. Joining me, as always, my partner, Graham. Welcome back.
Excited to be back, Alex. We're getting really into the, it's coming up on college football season. Now we're officially into August, and it's at the end of the month, we're going to see our first games. Going to be exciting here. Excited to talk about some Eastern Michigan Eagles.
Yeah, it's as you guys heard earlier this week, had a chance to talk to Chris Creighton at Mac Media Day. Always a great conversation. Always look forward to talking to him. Make sure you guys go check that interview out. He had some great stories from his time coaching football teams internationally, as well as a great story about our equipment case, the letter E that we have on there. You guys are definitely going to want to check those out. Just some great content. But let's talk about these Eagles. Let's just be a little bit candid. Last year, off to a hot start, and really looked like they were going to be relative contenders in the Mid-American Conference, and then just struggled. Like they were at 5 wins before what's it called, Halloween, and I thought for sure this was a bowl-bound team, and they ended up proving me wrong, Graham.
Yeah, they just needed the one more. They didn't quite squeak it out. EMU, this is the history of EMU, isn't it? Is a team who every time it seems like they look good, something happens. And we're rooting for EMU. They have such a cool stadium with the gray turf there and all that fun factory. And it's supposed to be EMU's time, right? We keep saying, they're on the come up. It's their time. And it seems like their time never quite comes. I don't know that if their time is coming this season, Alex.
That's the $1 million question, right? I'm looking at their schedule from last year. They started off 5-2 last season. 5-2 on October 19th. They beat Central Michigan. And then here's who they lose to. You ready, Graham? They lose at Akron, 25-21. To Toledo at the Factory, 29-28. They lose at Ohio at Peden Stadium, 35-10. They lose to Buffalo 37-20, and then at Western Michigan by a score 26-18. Just unbelievable luck. There were 3 one-score games in there.
Yeah, and that's tough. That's tough to be in the MAC and come into these one-score games. We had a similar conversation about Akron when we did our Akron preview. Lots of teams in the MAC. We talk about MAC parity. We don't just mean it in terms of record. We also mean it in terms of these one-score games. And it's throughout the conference. Anybody can beat anybody in any given week. And very often these games are decided by a score or maybe just a couple of scores. And EMU has been on the wrong side of that, at least last year.
And I guess we'll just kind of dive into it. We'll see where that trend continues this year. Last year, 311 total points, 25.9 points per contest, 4th in the MAC in passing yards, 2,800 yards, and then 6th in the conference with 1,700 yards, rushing yards. But the defensive side, they were in the bottom half of the conference. In fact, 7s across the board, 7th in the MAC in total yards surrender with 4,600 yards, 7th in the conference in points per game at 27.9 surrendered. And then 1,954 rushing yards surrendered, 7th in the MAC, 2,651 passing yards. Just again, another surrender at 7th for Eastern Michigan. And that kind of tells the tale. The offense was pretty solid, but the defense just didn't carry their weight, especially in the late half of the year. Whole new roster. Go ahead.
You'll notice from last year, the Eastern Michigan offense was slightly above average within the conference. Their defense slightly below average. And those two average out, I'm going to say average 3 or 4 more times here, to a very average team. And that's what we saw last year. 5-7 is nothing to sneeze at. Of course, this is a team that's looking for that 6th victory. They're looking to be bowl eligible. They had a pretty decent streak of going to bowls from 21 through 23 and broken last year. So it would be great to see Eastern Michigan head back to a bowl game and really realize the potential that is Eastern Michigan Eagles football.
And I think looking at it this year, a little bit of tough sledding for the Eagles, but we'll just get right into it. Starting with the quarterback. You've got a new quarterback room. Jeremiah Salem, the walk-on, who has kind of started to surprise people here in camp. As you guys heard on my interview with Coach Creighton, he was non-committal on who was starting this year. I know the notion seems to suggest that it might be Noah Kim, the Coastal Carolina Michigan State transfer. But Cameron Edge trying to move his way in there, edge his way in there, if you will. It's a 3-horse race right now. Noah Kim, 5 starts at Michigan State a couple years ago. And I think this is going to be a really critical battle in the success of Eastern Michigan in 2025.
Yeah, I think the smart money is on Noah Kim to have this quarterback position. He did have those starts at Michigan State. He was highly touted as a recruit, and coming in here with the opportunity to really win the job. I like that Coach Creighton talked about the fact that this job is still up for grabs. Mm-hmm. It's nice to see that competition in camp, but my money's on Noah Kim to at least start the season as the starting quarterback.
And I think I'm with you. I mean, again, the numbers kind of suggest that it's going to be that way. The other kind of position as we move forward here that I'm excited to watch kind of unfold is the running back room. You've got Dante McMillan, Tavier Dunlap from Michigan, the transfer. So, what's nice for him is he doesn't even have to get a new apartment. He just has to drive a little bit further to practice. That's all. That's right. So limited time at Michigan. He has less than 30 carries and 1 touchdown in 4 years. But when you're behind Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum, you got some pretty good guys that you're learning from. And then, of course, we've got James Jointer from Liberty. And again, similar thing for him, limited time at Liberty. But I really like the idea that Dante McMillan can come back from this injury. And then Tavier Dunlap, I think, really could provide, that could be a solid 1-2 punch for this backfield.
Yeah, Dante McMillan is definitely going to get a chance to be the lead back here. Season-ending injury last year puts us in a situation where we always kind of question how do running backs come back from these injuries. There's a chance that Dante McMillan doesn't look the same. But I think you're right. I think really all three of these guys, Dante McMillan, Tavier Dunlap, James Jointer, all three of them talented backs. It's the same refrain we've been saying about all these teams where we say, it's a question mark. We don't really know what's going on. We have a little bit of MAC experience to look at for Dante McMillan. We have a little bit, just a very tiny bit of Michigan experience to look at for Tavier Dunlap. Not much from James Jointer. So not a lot of film to watch on these guys, at least the two new joiners at the college level, but all of them supremely talented. It'll be, I'm trying to refrain from using the word interesting, but I'm going to say it. It's going to be interesting to see how these running backs turn out for the Eagles this year.
I'm really interested in seeing if this side of the ball can gel, especially if this running back room can gel. This could be a really special group. But you can't rely on the ground game unless you've got a quarterback who can throw the ball to keep things off balance. And in order to throw the ball successfully, you need good wide receivers. Graham, let's talk about these receivers. We got Terry Lockett Jr., Porter Rooks, Benson Proper, Tanner LeMaster at tight end, and Nick Harris at tight end. Some of the names that are popping up on this roster. Anybody standing out to you in this room?
Well, Terry Lockett Jr. was an All-MAC performer last year at 660 yards, but what really stands out is the 5 touchdowns. So Terry Lockett with a little bit of experience here catching the ball. Eastern Michigan did a pretty decent job in the transfer portal, bringing guys in, bringing in a couple of tight ends. You mentioned Tanner LeMaster from Kentucky, Nick Harris from UConn. Both guys coming in and bringing some talent. Another group where we have one guy at the top who is kind of a known quantity, and everybody underneath him, we're not really sure where the stats are going to come from. Makes the Eastern Michigan Eagles a really interesting team this year. And I think just the fact that they have Terry Lockett Jr. to lock down that kind of number one receiver role makes me more confident in this group than in the other offensive groups.
Well, and I think that there is a lot of opportunity here for somebody to have kind of a breakout. This is a group that, you talk about the transfer portal. One that I'd love to talk about, this Benson Prosper. Say what you want about JUCO kids. He played in 12 games last year, 450 yards, 4 touchdowns. You got to transfer that. You got to make that elevate to the Division I game. And, you see a lot of JUCO guys on these FBS rosters. But if he can bring that same production with him to this level, I think that could be a really beneficial boost to this receiving core.
Yeah, and certainly the question mark here, for me anyway, it's not the receivers, it's the quarterback. And we talked about, I think it's going to be Noah Kim. We'll see. I would put my money on Noah Kim being able to get the ball downfield to some of these receivers. But what I expect to happen is using the passing game to open up the run game. I think Eastern's going to rely more on those running backs than they are on their passing game.
Then we move on to our tight ends. And I like this tight end group. Yeah, if you're a guy who wants guys who can block, you've got 2 of them. Tanner LeMaster at 6'6", Nick Harris at 6'7". Nick Harris has 11 games played at UConn. Just 1 catch. Looks like a little bit more blocking. And then Tanner LeMaster doesn't have any recorded stats from his time at Kentucky. Both of these guys come from bigger programs with a little bit more experience from practice. And I think while they don't have the game reps, they have valuable commodities in practicing against guys who are getting the game reps at a much higher level.
Well, these are, like you said, these are big, strong guys. Even if they don't help out in the receiving game, which I expect them to be to help out in the receiving game, but even if they don't, they're very valuable as blockers, and I think that's going to be the strength of this Eastern Michigan team this year. Is the offensive line. It's unlike most of the offensive lines we talked about. This line is super experienced. We got a ton of returning players on the offensive line for Eastern Michigan. We got Mickey Rolanski, Blake Bustard, Joshua Anderson, Mac Indeted, Owen Snively, and Chris Mayo all coming back with Gabriel Arnold and Spencer Webb coming in as transfers. All these guys with experience, all these guys with last names butchered by me. So I think the important thing here is to note how tough they are and how willing they are to sit through someone butchering their names.
Well, I think that's the creed of the offensive lineman. Is it's not about how tough you are in the football field, but how tough your ears are when somebody butchers your name. And but you're right. There's a bunch of experience on this line, and that's going to massively boost whoever gets snaps at quarterback. Again, we're presuming Noah Kim. That's the heavy favorite, so we won't really talk about that much more. But I really like these options that Chris Creighton has, and something that I think is worth noting: there's now a little bit of depth, and depth goes a long way on an offensive and defensive line. But we're talking about the offense, goes a long way on an offensive line through a 12-game season.
When we talk about returning production for Eastern Michigan, they're kind of right in the middle of the MAC in terms of how much they're returning 37% of their production on offense from last year. And the majority of that returning production is from this offensive line group. So I expect the offensive line to be a stalwart for the Eagles. And again, I think this bodes well for Eastern's rushing attack this year.
I love it. Let's talk about this defensive line. We talked about the offensive line and how important that experience is. Defensive line feels like a little bit more of a wild card. Carter Evans, just 25 games. Jefferson Adam coming back. He was 14th on the team in tackles. Donovan Green, Tyrell Martin. Just this list goes on and on. Sterling Miles, Elijah Alexander, the transfer from Stetson. Makai Gilbert, the transfer from Samford. Warren Stevens-Teo from West Georgia. There's some experience returning, but I think you get a little bit of a boost with guys transferring in. I'm not confident that this is going to be an area of strength for Eastern Michigan this year.
Yeah, we talk about there are guys coming back. Defensive line wasn't one of the shining examples of efficiency for Eastern last year. And so the returners, it's nice to have the experience. It's nice to have guys who can, improve hopefully year over year. But this group is one that I don't really see a standout yet. Now, who knows? Maybe one will show up throughout the season. But I don't see a standout at least in the preseason here.
And I think that's for me what's tough. Carter Evans, he does have 25 games, so he's lots of game experience. Doesn't have many stats to kind of go with that. Jefferson Adam a year ago, 25 tackles. That was 14th on the team. Now he's got to step up and be a leader. So I'm concerned about where this defensive line is going to be, but I'm a little less concerned I'm a little more concerned rather with the linebacking core, because I think that's actually arguably going to be the weakest portion of the game here on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, we're returning Zach Mauchin at the linebacker position, as well as Carter Harriman. Carter Harriman coming in from Miami, which is the player I wanted to talk about. Love that he's had experience in Chuck Martin's defense at Miami. And we know the way Miami loves to use their linebackers. Now, Miami stacked the linebacker position. So it makes sense for Carter Harriman to make his way to Eastern Michigan, and that benefits Eastern Michigan. Just the experience with that defense, just the experience with a defense that relies on the linebackers so much. I think Carter Harriman is going to be a great addition here. We're going to also talk about Caden Bailey, who is transferring in from Syracuse. Not a lot of playing time at Syracuse, but that's a Power 4 experienced guy, as well as Marco Paterno, who comes in from Elon. Again, you're talking about these linebackers, and they're not super known quantities. I like that we have a guy at the linebacker position who has experience, who's coming back. I like the transfer in from Miami. I like that we have a guy who has at least a little bit of Power 4 experience. I think this group is going to be okay, Alex.
And that remains to be seen. I think you're probably right. I'm a little bit more pessimistic on this group, just because there are unknown quantities with incredibly limited experience. So I think it's gonna be up to the transfers to really step up, and it looks like, based off the depth chart, they're kind of poised to start here right out of the gate. And we'll get to the Eastern Michigan schedule here shortly. Let's talk about this secondary, defensive backs, safeties, all that. Dramarian McNulty is a huge returner. Javion Norman. We're talking about butchering names here. Barry Manning. Wanted to call him Barry Manilow earlier in the show. Bryce Llewellyn. And then Tyrell Diener and Josh Scott all return with experience. Barry Manning, 17 games. He has 37 total tackles. Dramarian McNulty, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception last year. But then you've got James Mons, the third, coming in from Middle Tennessee, a quality Conference USA school. Davion Williams from Charleston Southern. Caleb Coley from Michigan State. Again, more of that Power 4 experience we've been talking about. I think this could be kind of a big strength, just because you've got a lot of talent here. But again, it's who steps up.
Certainly the strongest unit on the defensive side of the ball for Eastern Michigan this year is the secondary. And I think you're right. What we're looking for on defense for Eastern Michigan is takeaways. They didn't do great at that last year for within the MAC. So we're looking for more takeaways on defense, more big plays, and we need the secondary to step up in order to facilitate that.
That's and then finally, let's talk on this special teams. I really like that Chris Creighton retained his punter, Mitchell Tomasek, for a 4th straight year. And this is a guy who's going to break Eastern Michigan punting records, which that's pretty cool. I think, anytime you can keep a little bit of stability in some portion of your game, that's a huge boost. You know what you're getting out of the guy. He's a known quantity. But then Nathan Dilbert, he was a freshman All-SEC kicker last year from Louisiana State. I really, really like this transfer portal pickup for Chris Creighton and the Eagles.
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of nice to last year. The big talk of the town was MAC kickers leaving the conference to go to the SEC. Love that we're taking one back. So love to see Nathan Dilbert come out here. And then you're right. Mitchell Tomczyk has been around Eastern Michigan for a while now, and he's become a name. Great to see him return and hopefully break some records.
I'm very, very, very excited about what this aspect of the game can do, and I'm not worried about it. The thing I'm worried about is who's going to return punts and kicks. But from my gathering, they don't have anybody kind of dedicated to that. It's going to be returns by committee, and honestly, that's okay.
Well, you remember all those Toledo years where we had, following the Eric Page of it all, had quite a few guys back there just trying out the position, and it seemed like fairly shortly you find somebody who's talented enough to handle returning duties. I have no doubt Eastern Michigan has plenty of talent at both the running back and the wide receiver position. Somebody's going to be able to return kicks.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see what this unit does, where it goes from here, and what they can do here in 2025. Speaking of 2025 and what things are happening, Graham, we've got a varsity app by Lairfield that people need to be downloading so they can listen to all the games here in 2025. This app is free to download in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. And in fact, with this app, guys, you can listen live to all of your favorite Division I college teams and hear calls from the voices all across the MAC, Big Ten, SEC, Mountain West, and more. So make sure you guys download that. Sign in to save your favorite schools, sports, and content for easy access. That easy access for that other content, that's going to be hundreds of incredible podcasts through the Varsity Podcast Network, including favorites such as yours truly, the Max Sports Connection, Group of Five Guys podcast, the Sickos Committee podcast, and many, many more. So make sure you guys download the Varsity app today by Lairfield for free and listen to the calls and podcasts that bring your favorite schools and teams to life. We have our max schedule for Eastern Michigan, and we have the whole schedule for Eastern Michigan.
That's right. Not just the max schedule.
That we need to break down here, Graham. And let's just start right off the rip. August 30th, 8 o'clock p.m. on the road at Texas State. Talk to me, Goose.
It's a loss. I really want to be able to say Eastern goes into Texas State and takes a big win to start the season, but I just don't see it happening. This is a loss for Eastern Michigan.
I'm kind of with you there, and not because I don't think Eastern Michigan will be competitive in that game. I think there's a great opportunity for them to be competitive. Texas State has a lot of momentum right now. They're building on their future addition to the Pac-12. They're really looking to carry that momentum forward. Best way to do that, statement win over a fellow Group of Five program at home to kick off your final year in your current conference.
Absolutely.
Moving on, we've got Long Island University. We've seen the Sharks before, and they probably play more like the Jets, and I think they're going to play like the Jets against Eastern Michigan in Ypsilanti. I'm giving the Eagles a dub here. Yeah,
this is an Eastern Michigan win. I don't want to dwell on the fact that you said the Sharks are going to play like the Jets, but you did say that.
Moving on, we've got the Eagles are flying down to Kentucky to take on the Wildcats. The Wildcats, who will play Toledo to kick off the season at home, get a crack at a second MAC opponent. We haven't talked about Toledo yet, but Graham, who is Kentucky? Who's getting the win here in Kentucky? Is it the Eagles or is it the Wildcats?
It's the Wildcats. Again, I want to pick an Eastern Michigan win here, but you heard as we went through the big breakdown of the team, the roster. There's just too many question marks for me. This is a Kentucky win.
Understand. I'm right there with you. And then last but not least, to round out the non-conference, a game at home against Louisiana. I feel like we're going to be on different sides of this one. I'm going to go first, and I'm giving the Eagles a win here. And they will be 2-0 to start the year at home.
I love that for you. Certainly, Louisiana is a team who matches up well against Eastern Michigan. By that, I mean this is a pretty evenly matched game. I'm going to give the nod to Louisiana just so we have our bases covered here.
All right. So Graham's got him starting 1-3. I've got him starting 2-2. And then we get into conference play. You already know about our Central Michigan pick. Graham and I split on this one a week ago. I picked the Eagles to win. Graham picked the Eagles to lose in this matchup. Anything else you wanted to say on that before we move on, Graham?
Well, I just wanted to mention that this game is at Central Michigan. That's a determining factor for me.
Love it. The following week, I've got Buffalo winning this one. You've also got Buffalo winning this one. If you heard our Buffalo preview, know this. And Buffalo is just going to be really, really good at football this year. And that's all I have to say on that one.
Yeah, as we get towards the end here, I'll be a little less cagey with how I think the MAC is going to shake out as a conference. But I have Buffalo towards the top.
Fair enough. Moving on, Northern Illinois. the Huskies in their final year in the Mid-American Conference, they're going to take on Eastern Michigan in Ypsi. You going Huskies or Eagles?
The Eagles have no reason to win this game. Northern Illinois should be the better team this year, but this one's in Ypsi. From where I see it, Eastern's coming at the end of a 4-game losing streak. Give me the Eagles in this one.
Wow, Eagles with the home upset over NIU. NIU probably going to get everybody's best shot here to close out their stretch in the conference. I'm going a Northern Illinois road win, just because, again, too many question marks for me. And Northern Illinois always has a really, really tough defense. You don't need to score a lot of points. You just need to score enough to win. And I think Northern Illinois can do that in this one. Moving on, they traveled down to Oxford, a game at Miami, Ohio. Where are you at, Graham?
It's another team, Miami, at the very top of the conference. I have about 5 teams there, and Miami is one of them. Miami gets it done at home. This is an Eastern Michigan loss.
I'm right there with you. Eastern Michigan losing on the road, and then a brutal game against current MAC champion Ohio. They're traveling to Ypsi, and I think I'm going to go Ohio gets the road dub.
That's right. This is green team versus green team. I've got the green team winning, and by that I mean the Bobcats. Eastern Michigan loses this one.
All right, and then we begin our midweek slate. Eastern Michigan has 2 midweek games, November 8th and November 15th, one against Bowling Green in Ypsi. We picked that a couple weeks ago. Graham picked Eastern Michigan with the win. I had to double check that when I was putting this in here. And then I picked Bowling Green to get the win. And then the following week, we have a game at Ball State in Muncie. Eagles getting the win. I picked the Eagles to take home the loss. Before we get to the final game of the season, Graham, anything else on those 2 teams?
No, I think Bowling Green and Ball State are both going to be tough teams. But I think Eastern Michigan, excuse the pun a little bit here, but finds their wings towards the end of the season, picks up a couple of key victories there.
All right. Last game of the season, rivalry game, one of the legs of the Michigan MAC Trophy. Western Michigan, Eastern Michigan in Kalamazoo, November 25th, Thanksgiving week. Who do you like on this one, Graham?
I think this game is about as much of a toss-up as you can possibly get. If Eastern Michigan were within striking distance of a bowl game, I might go another way. But I think this is a Western Michigan victory.
All right. So we are both finishing the regular season for the Eagles 4-8. A tough year for Chris Creighton's crew. Say that 3 times fast.
No.
And yeah, I mean, just some tough games. We only have one consensus pick, and that's the game against Long Island. So if we were right, if we split our wins and we're right on the wins, Eastern Michigan's 8-4, guys. So, 7-5. So hang your hats on that. But don't bet on it. That's going to about do it for us, guys. Do us a favor. Go listen to that Chris Creighton interview. Coach Creighton was generous enough with his time, and his efforts to spend with us at Media Day. And, just some really, if I had to say anything, one of my favorite coaches to talk to, and I feel like I say that about every coach, but truly one of my favorite coaches to talk to. Chris Creighton is what's right about college football and coaching, and he's one of the few that I really truly believe looks out for his team. And I think the MAC, most of the coaches do that better than a lot of these other leagues, especially the more or the higher up you get with the P4. But if you want somebody to be inspired by, I think Chris Creighton's the guy.
Certainly an inspiring coach, and a coach with a really interesting story. If you haven't checked out that Chris Creighton interview, make sure you go do that, because what an interesting guy.
Yeah, very interesting. Lots of cool stuff. Graham, do you have anything else before we send these folks packing tonight?
No, but certainly getting pretty excited about MAC football over here. So can't wait. Just a few more weeks.
Inching a little bit closer day by day, hour by hour. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, please go subscribe to us on wherever you listen to your podcast, whether that be YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, whatever platform you use. Please go subscribe so you get all the updates for the latest episodes. Please go listen to our previous preview episodes and go listen to that Chris Creighton interview. Make sure you're following us on all social media platforms as well. Blue Sky, I'm slowly trying to get us into the Blue Sky sphere. It's a little bit of a transition, so bear with us, but trying to get information to you guys there on Instagram, on X, Facebook. You can find us at the Max Sports Connection or the MSC podcast. And then on TikTok as well, throwing these episodes up there as well for people to check out. So wherever you like your social media content, go follow us there as well. But thank you guys. We appreciate the love and support for continuing to make us the #1 Mac sports podcast on the market. And yes, there are more than one. I did look, and we appreciate you guys for all the love and support. It's truly made this labor of love a lot less laborious and a lot more about this great league. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and that's going to do it. So we'll see you next week.
This is your before and after story, where your first steps towards a new life-changing career begin. Southeastern College can take you there. We offer in-demand hybrid and online programs with hands-on training, led by in-field career professionals, and career services to put you on the path to a rewarding and fulfilling future. This is where your transformation begins. Southeastern College, your future is bright. Visit sec.edu to get started.